In this video, I'm going to talk to you about hamstrings, and I'm going to explain the biggest mistake that people make when they're trying to build mobility through this area, strength through this area, and rehab this area. I'm going to explain and show you one key exercise that we use with all of our hamstring clients, and more importantly, help you understand one key concept that we apply to all our hamstring clients. Okay, so just an important little bit of anatomy. You actually have three hamstring muscles, and they attach on this sit bone area here, and in varying parts they cross the knee and attach down on the tibia and the fibula here. So they run up and down like this, and most people, that's what they think about when they think about hamstrings. And how they will try and improve their flexibility is usually in two ways. Number one, in some kind of standing position, they will do a hip hinge movement, and what the goal there is really, even if you don't know it, is they're trying to pull their sit bone up away from the knee. The second way is maybe they'll lie on their back and they'll do some kind of straight leg raise up. So in this instance, they are bringing the knee away from the sit bone. Both of those things are resulting in similar types of movement where the hamstring is getting pulled straight up and down. But remember I said we have three hamstrings, and those three hamstrings are actually kind of running in different directions from the sit bone to the back of the knee. So they're all kind of curling around and bending around, and they're doing that on purpose because that's a very protective thing. One, for your knee, two, for your hip, and three, we need to be strong in kind of rotation and side to side type of movement, and the hamstrings are assisting in that. So here's the solution to this problem of having the three different hamstrings all running in different directions. If Kira shows us a regular kickstand hinge where she puts her weight on her left leg, I'm not going to talk too much about how much knee bend or not, but if I pretend to be one or maybe all of her hamstrings here, I'm attaching onto her sit bone and somewhere around the back of her knee. She does a really nice hip hinge where as she goes down, she's trying to get her sit bone to almost come up away from the knee as much as possible. That's going to put length through the hamstrings. As she comes back up again, they're going to start to shorten again. But this is very much an up and down type of motion. Now, if we want to start to get some rotation and twisting and bias more length through one or the other, I'm still going to attach onto her sit bone. She's going to rotate her pelvis to the left as much as possible over this stance leg, and then if you come back to the middle for me, Kira, if she rotates again, what you'll see is the sit bone actually turns away from the knee. So as she turns her pelvis towards the stance leg, her sit bone turns away from the knee. So now I end up with this kind of wrapping instead of this straight up and down wrapping. If she does a hinge here where she still has to focus on a really nice hinge motion, she's probably going to feel a little bit more length through the lateral hamstring here, maybe even more of the lateral glute as well, and then she comes back up again. Perfect. Now, if we go into the third direction, she actually can rotate her pelvis as much as possible away from the stance leg. You can even turn this back leg if you like, where you can turn it out, you can place it wherever you want so you have a little bit of balance. And now this sit bone is actually rotating towards the knee, and then she hinges down. She's still trying to get her sit bone to go up as much as possible, and then she comes back up again and it shortens. So that's going to put a little bit more length potentially through the medial hamstring, depending on how you actually orientate your pelvis and your femur. Okay, so here's how you incorporate this concept into your training. Kira's going to do a set of hinges, but it's a clock motion. She's going to do 3 hinges in each direction. The first direction is just straight up and down. She's trying to keep her pelvis as square as possible here, getting her sit bone to come up throughout the rep. A lot of people, when they try and do hinges, regular hinges, they actually twist away or rotate away to begin with, even when they don't mean to. There's a good reason to think about why one hamstring might be a lot tighter than the other, one might be a lot weaker than the other. For the second set of 3 reps, she's going to rotate over the stance leg as much as possible. She's obviously added weights here. You don't necessarily need to add any load. She's trying to stay rotated and limit the spine motion as much as possible. For the third 3 reps, she's going to rotate away from the stance leg as much as possible. You can play around with this back leg, place that where you need. She's still trying to get her butt or her sit bone to go up as high as possible, but she's trying to keep her pelvis or her pubic bone, or whatever way you want to think about it, rotated away from this femur. 3 reps there, and you should get very different feelings in each of these different positions. If you don't, you're probably not doing the rotation as well as you think you are. Okay, so that's our hinge clock movement. It's such a simple exercise, but also concept that we apply not just to our hamstring clients, but to every part of the body. It works incredibly well. I hope this video helps. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments below.